OKC has one of the best defenses in the league, and while Jonathan Kuminga is still the same beast, he's become a different animal. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just look at him here shredding through the entire Thunder's defense like paper. Portland is another young team with one of the better defenses in the league, but Kuminga didn't care, as he ripped them apart for 13 points in just 16 minutes of action. After the Warriors traded away James Wiseman and Jordan Poole, all anyone could talk about was the Warriors' 2 timeline was nothing but a failed experiment. But after watching the Young Guns in 2024, it might be time to backtrack on that conclusion.
2 seconds. He throws up a 3.
I mean, if the last 10 games showed us anything, it's that they're not only ready, but that they're hungry too.
Play Portland at home. Tickets are still available for that.
It may have taken the Warriors head coach Steve Kerr about a quarter of the season to figure it out, but slowly, yet surely, I see the energy changing in Golden State. They're on the verge of doing it again, and despite what their current record shows, I see them on the cusp of breaking the NBA once more. Some would say the Warriors' age is creeping up on their core, that the core ain't the same anymore, and that the front office should break it up. I mean, 10 wins and 12 losses? For the most expensive roster in the league? From an outside glance, that looks absolutely horrible. But in saying that, check this out. There were 2 bad losses to OKC that were freak accidents. One lucky shot by Chet that goes in like 5 out of 100 times, and just a horrible foul which sent Chet to the line to shoot 3 free throws. Lightning struck twice there. Against the Clippers, the Warriors were up 22 in the third quarter. Then again, lightning struck.
George wants it all. The 3. Oh!
Against Sacramento, it was the same thing. Up 24 near the end of the second quarter, but lightning struck hard. That's 4 losses where the Warriors had a 95% chance of winning, but the basketball gods literally intervened and said no. There's not much you can do when the gods are against you, and the San Antonio Spurs know that feeling quite well.
Bosh, back out to Allen. His 3-pointer.
Then look, there were 3 other losses where the Warriors shot themselves in the foot with some of the worst 3-point shooting performances I've ever seen, and still just barely lost. Let's say they just won one of those 3, which is pretty reasonable. Well, then instead of being 10-12 currently, they'd literally be 15-7, which would be good enough for the 2nd seed in the West today. And this is exactly where I see the Warriors soon breaking the NBA. Like, Steph Curry is still pretty much at the top of his game. His ability to break down defenses and get off whatever shot he wants is still as good as ever.
5. Curry, step back 3. Stephen Curry.
Draymond and Klay are also starting to remember their championship ways. Then, along with Wiggins and Looney, you have a proven championship caliber starting 5 there who's already won at the highest levels. Gary Payton II, the ultimate fan favorite, also knows his role already.
Behind the back, gets denied by Payton emphatically.
The rest of the team, however, started off the season as a project in the making. Moody and Kuminga weren't really tested in their first and second season. Brandon is a rookie who's seen the NBA up close for the very first time. Dario Saric is new to the system. And Chris Paul? Well, for the past few seasons, he was public enemy number 1 in San Francisco. In other words, to begin the season, the Warriors had a lot of new pieces, but the absolute truth of the matter is they're starting to figure it out, and it's becoming more evident with every passing game. Like, just look at this play here. Chris Paul finds Klay Thompson as he runs off a Saric screen. Then, as the secondary defender momentarily goes with the Splash Brother, Klay hits a cutting Saric, who lays the ball in uncontested at the rim. Here's another look where as Klay gets the board on one end, He throws it to Brandon, who's already in position at the other end of the court, who then dishes it to Moses Moody as he's running the floor. The end result was a sweet transition bucket for the Dubs. In this play here, Moses takes the wide open three, which unfortunately hits the rim. Kuminga then catches the board and goes for the putback, which again just hits the rim. But hey, Brandon's a big believer in the phrase, third time's a charm. These are just some of the countless examples that I've seen game after game that shows the Warriors are starting to figure it out. And let me say it again, when the Warriors can finally put all the pieces of the puzzle together, the NBA is literally gonna break. A huge reason why the Warriors got into a mess to begin with was because of Andrew Wiggins' funky start to the season. Like, for the first 10 games, he was averaging 11 points and 3.7 boards on 41% shooting from the floor, 17% from three, and 53% at the free throw line. If anyone in your starting lineup is shooting that poorly, you're not going to win too many games. Well, check this out. In his past 7 outings, he's out of his funk and has been looking more like the Wiggins we saw in the 2022 playoffs. 16 points per game, 5 boards, 45% from the field, 46% from three, and 82% at the line. Now, those are the numbers which made the Warriors' starting 5-man unit the best in the league last season. It's not just him either. I mean, Chris Paul was also in a weird slump, scoring just 9 points on 38% shooting from the floor and 17% from three in his first 10 games. Those are the types of numbers that get you sent down to the G League. Since then, however, in his last 8 outings, check this out. He's still at just 9 points per game, but his field goal percentage has gone up to 44%, and his three-point shooting has gone up to 52%. See what I mean by figuring it out? Klay Thompson is in the same boat. When he was in that 8-game slump of his, he was averaging 12 points per game, shooting 35% from the field and 27% from beyond the arc. Since then, however, in his past 8 games, the other half of the Splash Brother equation is now averaging nearly 19 points per game on 41% shooting from the floor and 38% from three. More importantly for Klay, however, is the fact he's not forcing tough shots anymore, and he's making the right plays. Can y'all see why I'm saying the Warriors are about to break the NBA? Sometimes you can't just look at the records. Sometimes you gotta read in between the lines. The starting 5-man lineup, the depth of this team, the experience they got, the mix of veterans and youth, the 2024 Warriors have it all. And here's what I predict. Sometime soon, Golden State is gonna go on a run. I predict a 15-2 type of run that'll completely change the narrative that the media has on them. By the time the regular season concludes, they're going to look entirely different than they do today, with Kuminga, Moody, and Brandon looking like championship-level supporting casts. The Dubs are currently in the 11th seed right now, but they're only 4 games back from the 3rd seed, which is where I see them by the time the playoffs come around. It'll then be another first-round matchup against the Sacramento Kings in the first round that'll be over in 6 games. In the second round, I see them taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that'll be over in 6 games as well. In the Western Conference Finals, I see the Warriors going up against the reigning defending champions, the Denver Nuggets, and being the first team that solves the puzzle that Nikola Jokic presents. After that will be the Warriors' 7th finals run in 10 years, and Chris Paul will finally get his ring.